a woman named Mina came to a non-defensive communication workshop for, I think it was the third or fourth session in a series, and she was extremely upset, and she was crying, and she said she almost didn't come to the group, but that her husband, Todd, had just told her that day that he almost left her and the girls and took some money out of their bank account and just left. And people, of course, were feeling protective of her, and she didn't understand why it was happening. And in the context of the work we were doing with her, we were looking at what kind of questions she could go home and ask him. And it became so clear to people that if she were to ask her questions from the place of her pain and her anger and her betrayal, like, how could you leave us? How could you possibly just take money and leave us and not say anything? And how could you do that to me? I mean, just that sense of intensity and betrayal would literally prompt his defensiveness. So we had the really, really painful but very profound work to do to help her be able to still go home in circumstances this difficult and ask a purely curious question. And so she did. She went home and was able to ask him in a very simple, straightforward way, what was it that made you want to take the money and leave me and the girls? And he looked at her and he said, I felt desperate. I was, working on the wires that the electrical company sent me out to fix this morning, and sitting up there in that big machine fixing wires, and I was looking around and I was thinking, I can't stand to do this the rest of my life. And I know that you've had some issues around security and that you've been afraid for me to quit my job or go back to school and train to do something else, but I thought, I can't do it. And all I wanted to do was run away. And after they had that conversation, after he shared that with her, they were able to talk more. They realized the kids were older. They had decided she would stay home with them, but she was had some good bookkeeping skills, and so they worked something out where the company helped him get some retraining, and she did some work. And the last I knew, of course, no life is perfect, but they had a good relationship, and they were still together. And for me, it's incredible to think about the fact that simply being able to ask a single question like that, and ask it in a sincere way, and really want to know the answer, no matter how painful it was, gave him an opportunity to share his pain in a way that he had not been able to successfully do before, and it gave them the kind of foundation they needed to truly solve the problem and go on with their lives.